see him?
He usually lets you know when he's gonna be here.
No, he didn't let me know anything.
Give him a minute or two.
Okay. We're already a little late.
All right, back where I was.
It's already 7:03. Mm-hmm.
We're rolling in here. Give him benefit of the doubt that he's on his way.
Hmm.
That's how I roll, right?
Yeah, I got nothing from him.
Okay, well, we can go ahead and start. Maybe so turn the mics on.
Mine is done.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, let's call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
7:04.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Well, thank you all for coming. Don't see him. It's not. All right, Clerk Kern, could we have a roll call?
Certainly. Trustee Dickman.
I have to back off of that mic a little.
I moved it up just to reach it. Supervisor Bertrand.
Here.
Clerk Kern here. Trustee Monet, absent. Treasurer Hobbs, absent.
Uh, Okay, as with our regular monthly board meetings, we'll start with board reports. And any questions to the individual board members or, excuse me, department managers. So the first one here is for supervisor. I really don't have a report other than the agendas. I have said this before, that's what I spend 90% of my time on. And the agenda for this meeting is over there along with everything that we will use for today's meeting. So has anybody got any questions for me in regards to whatever you might want to ask me? Okay, hearing none. We will move on to the treasurer report. In Mr. Hobbs's absence, I'll read it off. Working on a 7-year GFL contract, savings of $18,660 and change for township. The first year, starting June 1st, 2026, 2027. Or 6.7 cents per resident. Year 2 through 7 will have a 4% increase from the 1-year contract price. No fuel surcharges for the duration of the contract. This agreement, once signed, will result in no residence waste assessment increase for the first 2 years. I am certainly not prepared to answer questions on it. I do know that we decided to wait on voting and discussing this until Mr. Hobbs was back. And off the top of my head, I think June 1st, we have to let GFL know by June 1st. So we have a little time to work with that. Specifics of it, I really don't know. Mr. Hops will be on vacation for a little while, but I think he's passing on the information that is a kind of a summary of what it might be. From there, working on a final cost of installing the automatic compost gate. I talked with him about that today. We're waiting on a bid from Consumers Power to run power from the box that's near the fence for the gate. We had another bid from somebody else, seemed kind of high. So waiting on Consumers Power for that. Signed an agreement with the pavement maintenance systems to rent out some road space for equipment storage. We went over this in our last meeting. Township to receive $3,000. Proceeds will go to the compost fund. And you may remember if you were here, they're part of the agreement is they will store stuff and repave US 27 out here. I don't know how long of a section, but when they're done, they will leave our compost site road in as good, if not better condition. Which is fine with me. If we can get like a 2-inch buildup on that road out of this deal, I'd be a very happy guy. Signed an agreement with Ideal Asphalt for parking lot sealing and stripping this spring. We approved doing this. I actually do not know what the final price is. Look at this guy, he knows. $4,234. And that was after checking out a couple different companies and their costs. And that's for one coat.
They assured us that we only need one.
Yes. When we went over this before, there was some confusion. Some of the higher bids were actually for two.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hops is working with the maintenance department on various upcoming summer projects. And more information is coming. If you have any generic questions for him, I can write it down and make sure he gets them. Other than that, the details, I'm not sure. So would there be anything you want me to pass on to Treasurer Hops? Okay.
Well, I will add one thing for him that on that agreement, if we sign that in May, let's say, we're getting a free bin, and we're going to be using that to clean out our stuff, our whole compost office over there, and they're going to give us a bin and empty it for nothing.
That's for GFL, right?
That's a GFL, yeah. We're not talking about the asphalt stuff yet. But they said they would do potholes in the compost area and also fix the road to good or better condition than it was. And this seems like a pretty good deal, plus the $3,000. That can't hurt.
No, I think it's great. They're going to have excess material, and I feel pretty strongly that we're going to be able to get it all from them. Why would they pick up a half a load and go somewhere else?
I think they're going to just dump it on our stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so.
Okay. So next would be the clerk report.
Okay. Well, we had hundreds of absentee ballots went out, and so far 46 have been returned. Another reminder that you must register the temporary address with us if you're going south in order to get your ballot. The U.S. mail will not forward election material. I can't say that strongly enough, but we got about, 10%, maybe a little bit more than 10% back. We've been getting 14 to 18 ballots in a day. Most of them are good, some are not. Many discussions have been held one-on-one about our septic ordinance. The ordinance officer, the STRs, as well as the storm-related problems. We've got a lot of issues going right now. And the clerk's office is involved in most of them. I've received over 20 calls and emails, as well as a good number addressed to the whole board concerning the STRs. it's hard for me to figure out what residents really want because it's such a small sample, but the county is running around 8-1 in favor of not having STRs at all. And in the R1 areas, a few simple requests, a modified and controllable number of permits, but it seems like most of the people have not called, either don't have a problem with it or don't want to get involved. Getting closer to the May school election, the hours for the ballot returns are on the website and Facebook and in the resorter. Sat with Rick, the general manager of GFL, and treasurer the other day. We spent about an hour working on that proposal, and like I said, we'll vote on that sometime in May, just so it takes effect on the 1st of June. Glad to answer any questions you have. Yes, sir.
Good one. I see, actually, my wife and I were absentee ballot, and mine came from the Lyon Township. Ours came from March.
Actually, it didn't. It came from Lyon, but last year or 2 years ago, they ran out of envelopes and they borrowed some from Markey and didn't put the Lyon stickers on the envelopes, and that's why it said Markey. We got a call from Garnish Township, and Miss Squires called me on a Friday. Now I just had some oral work done, so I wasn't in on Friday. I called her back Monday, and she'd already gone to the county, and she took the ballot there. So I had to run over there, get the ballot, and do this kind of stuff. Yes, I'm sorry for any confusion there. But that was why they ran out of ballots 2 years ago, and they didn't put stickers on all of them. But that's the only thing.
Yeah, envelopes, right?
Pardon?
Envelopes or ballots?
No, envelopes.
Yes.
Yes. The older ones that you were returning, it would say Macomb, and we had a few calls. Yeah, well, maybe that's nice, and then you got one finally. Oh, certainly. Yes.
One in favor of not
Having the rentals at all. They're pretty adamant about it, and I gotta figure they all are on John's speed dial. No, maybe not. That's a little kidding, but no, they're very serious about this. And then some of the others are just as adamant that say, well, no, we don't wanna eliminate them, but we do want to control the numbers. And that makes a great deal of sense to me. But so many people are not calling or not writing. How am I supposed to know? You hear from 25 people out of a couple thousand. That's not a very good, slice of the people. But yes, 8-1 so far. Mm-hmm.
Okay. If there are no further questions for Clerk Kern, we will move on to Trustee Detmer.
Well, I don't have much to report other than the fact that we have a lot of flooding going on right now in the township. Little Creek is as wide as I've ever seen it. I've never seen it that high, and water's flowing through really hard. Central Park Boulevard's got the gigantic sinkhole in the middle of it, and that's blocked off. I know there's some flooded houses and different kinds of things, so it's one of those years. We had probably 30 inches more than what we normally have, and then on top of that, we had all this rain and the melting snow and stuff. So I don't think we'll have to worry about the lake level for a month or so. That's it for me.
Any questions for Trustee Detmer?
What's that? I've lived there 19 years, and Little Creek has never been flooded like it's flooded right now. Little Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
What's the one just north of Little Creek? There's like that one, that flooded the sinkhole.
Uh-huh.
There's another one just north of. They're going in that guy's backyard.
Not a, it's like a drainage area. It's so that's dry for most of the year. And then in the springtime, it has a little bit of a water flow in it. That has never had water like that, like it has in there too. And I don't know if that gray house that the water's crashing into before it goes around, I don't know if he's got any kind of damage or I'm sure his crawl space is flooded, nothing else. But, yeah, and did you see on the other side of the road how it's backed up? The water's backed up way high and everything. So it's one of those, we had freezing rain and 3 days without power. And, so I don't know if God's trying to tell us something or what. It's been a rough,
What is it that get ready, set, go? We should be at the set. Yeah,
oh, I feel sorry for those people that are by the big rivers and stuff like that. They, that would be horrible.
Okay.
if you would, the only problem is, and usually we do this now and it's never on the mics, I guess if it's nothing super important, it doesn't matter if it doesn't end up on the video.
To your neighborhood, but I noticed that over at AMVets, there's still like some wires down, on the ground over there. And there's some yellow tape over there, and it's that close to the road, have you seen that?
I saw them and and this is just an assumption on my part. I'm assuming they're either old telephone lines or cable lines, because if they were electric lines, they wouldn't be just down there like that. So that was my assumption, but I don't know that for sure.
I think they,
I just drove through there a couple hours ago and saw it. I didn't pay much attention because if it was power, I think they'd be on it by now.
you would think so.
Yeah, I did the loop around 104 and I found the 3 different culverts with water that I didn't even know existed, and I've been hunting around here for 50 years. So that's more rain than I've ever seen. But nothing looked like it was washing out. Nothing looked in danger other than that sinkhole that he found, and I drove everywhere but there.
I'm glad they rebuilt the culvert at Little Creek just a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
because that would all be washed out now if they hadn't have done that.
Okay. So trustee Monet is not present. I'm a little concerned. He doesn't miss meetings. Next report would be for maintenance. Mr. Hops and I started a different procedure where he is now kind of in charge of the maintenance, and I funnel the Parks and Rec requests to the maintenance department through Mr. Hops, and there's a long list, as you can imagine, for spring Parks and Rec. They've been working diligently on everything. I know the ice rink, they took that apart. We're just waiting for it to finally thaw and get rid of that, or fold it up anyway. Whatever else happens around here in the general cleanup area. So there is a long list, and there are 2 of your board members keeping an eye on it. So if something really starts dragging, we're going to know about it. Where we at? Fire department, I did not get a report from the fire department this time
I
around.
didn't either, I usually do.
So that leaves us at the sexton. So Bruce, if you want to come up and use the mic, that helps when anybody watches the videos.
So, sold one lot.
I'm sorry, you'll have to push it away from me. I moved it in trying to catch their voices. But
I sold one lot
I had a burial Saturday. It was a cremation. I've got 6 scheduled in the next 4 weeks, for burials. I picked up all the debris and piled it up, and we're gonna pick up the piles tomorrow. And if it ever stops raining, I can start blowing the leaves out of there. And, I noticed another tree was down, so I'm gonna have to cut that up too. And, a maple tree, along with some pine trees way in the back in the new section.
Did you, hear anything back from the resident with the tree that was leaning on the fence there?
I haven't talked to her yet. I haven't seen her yet. There's also another tree hanging. It wasn't a wire. It went away from the wire, but it's kind of hanging over right on the corner of where I live. That big section over there that we're gonna have to, I can cut that. It's not a big deal.
Well,
It's
and-
falling down. So,
okay, if it's in the air, not alone.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and then I noticed when I went into that section, where we dump leaves sometimes, a big maple tree had fallen, but that's on the ground, so I can cut that up.
okay.
Okay.
I don't want to have to put goggles and a hard hat on you.
Uh,
I should, but I won't. Okay, thank you. Any questions for Bruce, cemetery wise?
I'd like to thank Sir Eddington for hanging out at the compost site for as long as he has been, because that was very helpful. I know for a lot of people. Thank you.
Actually, I should have mentioned in the maintenance, so we were on emergency schedule, 7 days a week, 9 to 5. Just put on the webpage and on Facebook today, Saturday will be the last day of that. Then we'll go back to our regular Saturday, Wednesday, 9 to 3, and then I think next month it switches to Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday.
Wednesday, Saturday.
So the emergency, we try to get people a couple days heads up. We also started taking bigger stuff. We hope to get reimbursed for everything related to having to do what we had to do because of the ice storm. That's pretty much the definition of whether you can get money reimbursed. Okay, so, hey, guess who's next?
So I didn't move.
How are we doing there? Ordinance officer.
Okay. So there's one complaint which isn't resolved yet that goes back to last year. Over on Mooncrest, where a guy's got all kinds of trailer stuff. After investigating, I'm not so sure that he even owns that property, because Robert and I did some research on it, and it might be owned by some people down in LLC in Sterling Heights. But nobody knows this person's name, and there's no address. So I asked the person that complained about it to let me know when they're there so I can go and talk to them and see what's going on. And I went by there. It's hell getting up there. And they have a trailer there, and there's something else that I didn't even recognize there. But I guess in the summer when they're up here, they're camping up there constantly. They're running a generator, and I'm gonna deal with it when they come up.
Okay, and I happen to know right where you're talking about.
It's not easy getting up there.
No, I spent 3 weeks trying to get an address and never could figure out. With the road on the back. I know you're looking,
After we investigated, I'm not sure he even owns that property.
yeah, you'll figure it out, but it's a mess,
It's a mess.
Trying to figure it out is a mess.
We issued one burning permit. And I did the liquor inspection, and I'm happy to say that, Evergreen Park priced their wine. Gave the guy a big cat on his back. So right now, there's no issues over there.
Good. Any questions for our ordinance officer? I would also like to thank you. I know how hard you work. And the time that you spent out there was very helpful. Certainly gave us some data about who's coming in there and trying to do what. And if we're open till Saturday, I'll ask you now, because Did Kevin ask you about this Saturday? Cause I said I could do it.
I was gonna talk to you about when you blew me
All right,
off.
I'll talk to you after.
So if you want me to do it, I'll do it, and we have a burial at 2:45.
Maybe we can do what we did last. I'll come.
Can we leave, are you open, we open till 5 on this?
Saturday is the last day till 5.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it.
I'll talk with you about it.
It's gonna probably rain anyway. You know why it's raining, just so you know. It's from that rocket that went up and they put a hole in the ozone.
There's no hope.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Parks and Rec is next. Being the board liaison, I pretty much know where that's at, and we have a 2-page list of things that we need to try and get involved in the spring cleanup. Definitely the buoys at Samoset Park is right in the forefront now, because I contacted the DNR, Leanne, the Parks and Rec chair also did, as did Kevin. We're trying to figure out if we can amend the permit to put them out deeper. If any of you were around Samoset last year, you saw where they were in way too close. So the docks on either side actually extend way past. So kids are jumping off the docks and boats are coming right up to the boats.
Into an unsafe, unprotected area.
So the first feeler I got back today from Lieutenant P-Woo, P-Boo, P-E-B-E-W, I think. Anyway, it sounds pretty productive. He said he would get one of his officers contact me and would go out there and look at it again. I think we can just amend it, but we'll see. But last year we were way behind the 8 ball. This year, Parks and Rec wants to get way in front of that. Should have mulch coming in for the Samoset area to fix the area under the swings. I have a person who volunteered to do the work. A lot of other things. Talked with Tracy from the Chamber of Commerce about finalizing the advertisement for the concert series. Got some real good ideas going on. And we're going to be able to use, apparently at the high school, the tech center, part of it is that there's a print shop. So we would be able to use that for a much reduced price to print the concert schedule and the posters and all of that. And we would partner with WQON again to do all that. That'll save us some money, but I guarantee you I got really good bands, but it's looking like we're going to try and pull this off at the last concert. Can't give you the date right now. That's Motor City Memories. Great band. I'm going to try and couple it with a car show with Rusty Nuts from Houghton Lake. And then they would do a tour drive and then park them out on the soccer field for people to look at them.
Oh, my God.
And Samoset, I'm coordinating with Kevin, one of the road grinds, to get it done like a week before then. And so that they would be willing to drive slowly down Samoset Drive, and then we could have a crowd of people in Samoset Park. And if you're familiar with how they do it in Houghton Lake, people sit there and cheer and hold signs up. And, it's a really cool thing. So it's looking like we can have the last concert be a really big thing. Our first meeting, Parks and Rec, is the 26th. Look here, no, 23rd. So from then on, I will have more information, or Leanne will be able to come to the board meetings and give a report. Any questions on all of that? Okay. That concludes the board reports and the department head reports. I'm going to make a motion that we accept the reports as given and that they be filed in the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any further discussion on that? And hearing none, to accept the reports as given and file them with the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. That motion carries 3-0. So next would be the consent agenda, which is all out there on the table. I did not have the dates for part of this, but I have most of it. So I'm going to read what's in the consent agenda and then end up making a motion to approve it. So this month, it contains meeting minutes from March 25th Budget Board meeting, March 25th Board meeting, and March 31st Special Board meeting. The invoice register report, both journalized and unjournalized, the check register report, and will include the department head and board reports. I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on it from the board?
No.
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. And that motion carries 3-0. Okay, we are now to board comments. I have a very brief comment. Recently, I've been trying real hard to make sure that I let people know exactly where I stand on things. And I just want to reiterate that I feel I represent the majority of registered voters' interests, and I'm speaking for me, not the other board members who voted for us in a landslide. I'm well aware of what they wanted us to do, and right at the top was less government interference in their lives. Everybody certainly has the right to come in here and express your opinions. I welcome that. I mean, I think it's great. A lot of smart people come in here with a lot of smart ideas. I just want to make sure, and this is not a personal thing, that for me personally, I don't have to act on what the minority of registered voters prefer that I do. As far as I'm concerned, I will always move towards what the 2/3 of people who put me here. But that's not a slight on you. That's just, I've said it before. That's me. That's what I'm for. That's why I'm here. Just want to be clear. It's nothing, there's nothing personal about that. Any other board members have a comment for today?
Yeah, I'd like to say that we received probably 25 phone calls thanking us for having that compost area open for the trash. No dissenting votes, no nothing like that. Most everybody met who was ever there working. If there was somebody at that time with a smile and took care of their business, and about a good percentage of them had their tags prominently displayed. So there was no issues as far as I know. One guy that didn't have one, I heard this through one of our alternate compost people, was asked for a tag and turned around and left because he didn't have one. Yes, so, but other than that, boy, that was a good thing to have that open. That's all I have.
I do have something I should have said earlier to piggyback on that. I asked Bruce to kind of keep track of things. The vast majority of people that are going in there are trying to do the right thing. They have a tag, they're from Lyon Township, and they're not throwing junk in there. So far, and you can correct me if anything happens since, because we're open 9 to 5, somebody's not always there. Somebody put, I think, 2 4x4s in there and a piece of plywood. Another person pulled up who had brush but also had pallets and asked about the pallets and was told no. If anything else has come in there, I guess you'd know or we would know, but okay. So by my estimation, easily, and that's just me being there on the weekends and on the first weekend, easily 250 people. So I'm again going to point out that the whole concept of that everybody from everywhere in Beaver Creek and great God, they come in there throwing crap all over the place. It really doesn't happen. And me personally, a couple 4x4, somebody, so, well, I mean, we're gonna burn all that stuff anyway. It's not a reason to have restricted compost hours. In my world, I think we should be open even more than we are.
I think Paul, the issue is contractors more than. I had a couple of contractors, they didn't have badges, they knew you, one guy knew you, so I let him go. The other guy,
If they have a contract, they don't need a badge, do they?
what they do?
Well, it's not a badge, it's,
They pay for that.
yeah, they paid for it and they got a key, so.
They don't have-
No, I get it. I'm just saying that I like the trying to do more data-driven stuff. The data does not support that we are being overwhelmed by people throwing their brush on top of our brush. We're not.
The people that live down the street that don't have badges, I helped some of them, I gave them temporary badges and told them that.
Yeah, you're great.
But the problem is, the township's not open on the weekends, and they're only up here on the weekends, and Ann always has to ask for a driver's license. I think they should be able to
I-
write a letter and request a badge from the township to be mailed to them.
I am with you 100%. And that's going to be coming up soon. It's the same with burning permits. We say you have to come in here and get one, but then we're not open on the weekends.
So,
Some of this just doesn't make sense. Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, I've worked law enforcement since 1977. There's a whole bunch of really good people out there, but there's always one or two. And some of those one or twos can really screw things up. So I'm in favor of watching that and making sure people aren't backing in there and throwing a whole bunch of stuff that shouldn't be in there.
You're right. That's one of the reasons we're trying to move towards the automated gate. But in general, people are pretty good. Okay, did you have any other comments there? Trustee Depp,
No,
as far as
that's it.
board comments? Okay, so from there, we'll move on to the agenda. The agenda is set and we do not have all of the board members here, so we would not be attempting to modify it by adding anything. I may strike something at the end or limit that conversation. Excuse me, because I didn't get the information I was hoping to get today, so I'm really not, I don't know quite where that's going to go. So as it is, there are 7 items, not proposing any additions because without the full board, we shouldn't. I will make a motion to approve the agenda as posted. We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, that ends. All in favor of approving this meeting agenda as posted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And oppose the same. That motion carries 3-0. Okay, that brings us to the agenda. So in your packets, or the ones that I put in front of you are different than everything spread out there. After the consent agenda and the payroll and checks, the next thing is a document that I put a couple copies over there. It's about 4 pages. The agenda item is discussion on ice storm and potential emergency response ordinance. Since I did the agenda, I've been doing more research and talking with people. Another township updated their emergency response ordinance. And they updated it to include much better language for definitions of what qualifies for something that you could be reimbursed for. I suspect, and I got people working on this, we need to really get our ducks in a row before we start asking to get money back on this storm. We don't want to have anything. I think the old one was from 98, one was from 76. I got a hold of our attorney, and I said, do you have, what do you think about this? And he instantly sent me an updated one that they, for other townships that they work with. So it's here in front of us. And we have two, or one of the ordinances, the number escapes me right now, is more about emergency recovering money, like if somebody crashed a semi truck and dumped diesel all over the place. It's more about that. The one that is more about what we're talking about right now would be, or is ordinance 38. So in the old language, it did not include this. Let me find it here. It lists, potential exists, hazardous materials, response, law enforcement, fire department, emergency medical services, and emergency management resources. The old one didn't have that in it. Now, from there, it goes on with a whole bunch of definitions, so it's like twice as big as the one we had. But I trust our law firm to give us something that's solid if any of these things occur. But when we start filling the paperwork out to get reimbursed, I'm a lot happier with this thing being there than the old one that does not include that statement about emergency management resources. So I'm not going to read it. What our attorney said we could do is just make a motion to approve updating ordinance number 38 by replacing it with this new document, and it would still be ordinance number 38. From there, we can just notify the newspaper that we made that change, and it would be effective immediately. So I'm kind of tracking when we start submitting money. I want to be well ahead of that. I have a very smart person working on making sure we don't cross all the T's and dot the I's when it comes time to ask for the money. So all of that is in preparation to me making a motion so I can get comments from the board. So I will make a motion that we adopt this updated version as ordinance 38, current ordinance 38 removed. I have a second on that.
I'll pick them.
Okay. Is there any further discussion from the board on that?
Yeah, you gave me a copy and you asked me to look some things over, and I could not find a single thing that I found issue with. And it seemed pretty much in depth. So I said, I just didn't want to take my word for it. So I gave it to Kevin and I said, what did you see? And I made him a copy of this to go over after you sent one. And then I gave it to the two deputies that were sitting there. I says, take a look, find something. I could have missed something.
The same people I emailed it all.
And they're going wild. They said, no, this is good. And I said, I have to agree with you, and I'm going to let Paul know that. And I did that following morning. No, I think it's been well received. I think it's a good article.
As residents, our law firm Bachmanthal represents MTA and us and many, many townships all over the state of Michigan. When I asked him about this, he has a good computer program. He sent it to me within 5 minutes. It automatically changed all the township names to Lyon. This is what everybody, this is an updated version, probably the latest and greatest. I have no doubt that they give us good material. You got any thoughts on this, Mr. Detmer?
It looked okay to me.
Okay. Yeah, I did send it to everybody as far as an email. Okay, so we had the second. Is there any more board discussion on it? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion that we adopt this updated version as ordinance 38, current ordinance 38 removed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, the same. That motion carries 3-0. And even if it doesn't play a part we're in better shape than we were before anyway. Okay, next on the agenda is a general discussion on additional benefit options for township employees. Some of you who have come to the meetings have heard our conversations about health benefits and trying to figure out who qualifies, and the insurance company making you have X amount of people and work X amount of hours. And we worked, Mr. Pern and myself especially worked hard to try and figure out how to give the township employees some sort of a break if they don't qualify for the health insurance. And we came up with, if they were to purchase, for example, this is not major health insurance, but if they were to purchase like a vision and dental plan privately, we were getting kind of close to saying, if you did that, we would maybe, either pay for it, pay 75%, whatever, something we can do to help the people out who do not have access to the township board's plan. And that includes the 2 trustees by definition of not working enough hours, which is pretty stupid. Lo and behold, all things happen for a reason. Denton Township, Dave Denbauer, they just recently, well, actually Dave and the clerk, Teresa Wagner, I saw it in the paper and I remember Dave had told me about this. So they just recently passed, for their budget, they are going to they are going to allow the township employees X amount of money to be reimbursed for medical costs. Completely jump all the wires with the insurance company and the screwing around. Just, hey, you're good people. We're going to try and help you out. X amount of money, you just submit your medical bills the way you see fit. We're not going to get into a massive argument about what qualifies and what doesn't. It's almost your decision what you might want to use it for. And that would include families. Maybe you want to put braces on your kid or something. So based on that, I'm bringing it to the board today because I personally really like that idea. I wish I'd have heard it well before we were trying to get an insurance company to cooperate. So that's what I know about it now. Dave's a pretty good friend. He'll be here Thursday. I'll ask more about it, and I've known Teresa most of my life. So I can certainly get the backstory on how they got there. Here's the part I didn't say to you yet. What about the fire department? Maybe we should be considering something that went across the board for all, as there states, for all the people who do not qualify for the health insurance plan. So I wanted to bring that up today. Here's some thoughts from you guys. It's too bad Timothy isn't here because I know he was interested. I did text him and ask him if what he thought about that. I haven't heard from him, and the fact that I haven't heard from him and he's not here is making me a little. Last time this happened, Jeanette went over to his house. So anyway, what do you guys, you don't have to make any decisions right now, but what do you think about trying to do something like that?
I think it's gonna take more exploration to find out what we can do and what we can't do. That the thing from Denton sounds like, well, they just jumped ship and went on their own little rowboat and did what they're gonna do. So I'm thinking that eliminates that insurance part because they were making that they couldn't get through.
Exactly. I think Dave and Teresa ran into the same thing we did
Yeah.
and said, we're going to do this instead.
Well,
And I did ask our attorney, what do you think about this? Because I'm sure there's some T's and I's to get crossed. When I worked for the state, I turned in reimbursement, but they were real stringent on what would qualify, what not. If it's a stipend for you to use, maybe there's a way to do that where we're not that concerned with what they use. It's something that they get as part of work. Maybe not.
well, more discussion is necessary and the board needs to be,
Yeah,
to the situation, yes. But certainly it's a possibility.
okay. You got anything you want to say today about that or?
It looks interesting to look into.
Yeah. I'll get more info Thursday from both of them. Okay. Number 3 on the agenda, and I believe there is paperwork on this, is, Kodiak, our new IT company. Right, yeah. Not only is everybody overjoyed with them compared to VC3, night and day, they said, hey, you're paying too much for your phone service. Really? Give us something. So it isn't them, but they got us a quote from a company. And Clerk Pern can inform you as to how much we would be saving. Why don't you take it from there about the money difference?
Okay, well, we used to have IVS, or no, we still have them now. We have to give them 30 days notice. And the new one is Net Express. And the old rate that we paid was $138. Our new rate is $88.85. And I don't see, I can't argue with it. They give us a different quote, and I forced them to take the taxes off because we are tax exempt. So it was 94.18. Now it's 88.85 and just waiting to be signed. And I think it's a good deal, saving $45 a month just on the phones. And it's supposedly, according to Kodiak, it's a pretty good upgrade.
Yeah, I talked to the Kodiak rep and he assured me it's at least as good as what we got, if not better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's on the agenda as a motion. When I get that part, you got anything general information wise you might want to say? Then for item 3 on the agenda, I will make a motion that we adopt the submitted bid contract from NetX to be our new phone host and carrier. They use the word host. I'll use it in the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further or any discussion from the board? Hearing none, we'll end the discussion. And could we have a roll call vote on that, please? Clerk Pern.
Sure. Clerk Pern, yes. Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Okay, then the motion will carry it 3-0. I will add that working with Kodiak is so much more enjoyable. Plus, when you get better people, they know better people too. And couldn't be happier that they pointed us in the direction. Okay. Number 4 on the agenda is to discuss ordering new signage as needed. And on my sing along, it says look around to let me know. For you residents, if you know of signs that are missing or got knocked down or look like they shouldn't be representing Lyon Township, certainly give me a holler or let me know on the supervisor email. We're looking through Parks and Rec at rebranding the sign. We may end up going in like a newer look version. But for right now, I'm not aware of where they all are. Some of you people like Sam, who's been here forever, you might know where something's missing that used to be there. Let me know if you see anything, and the same for you guys.
Sure.
For sure, the compost fence sign needs to be updated. It does not exactly say everything that's going on. And when people pull up, they come up and they ask you, the things are right there. It's so washed out and faded and small, that would for sure be one. So I would ask the residents if anybody knows anything to let me know, or certainly suggestions too, as far as Park and Recs. Okay, any comments from you two on that?
No.
Okay, then we will move on. Agenda item 5 is to discuss additional treatment for oak wilt damage to park's trees. Where we are at on that is that last year we identified dead branches in oak wilt trees and took most of them out in the parks. There may be a few more. They're coming back out next week to Park 27. Identified the actual oak wilt trees. They cut a couple down when we had weather that allowed, then it started raining like crazy. They're trying to go back in there next week. A few more of those. We identified the trees near the oak wilt trees that potentially could get sick because of the dead oak or the oak wilt trees. So even though we remove the trees, it's a good idea to try and do some treatment on the trees that remain so we don't lose them. So a couple of these are right smack and, you know, there are prime trees right in the Park 27 view there. Last year, we found a fungicide treatment company and did an application on the trees. I can't remember how many, maybe 5, maybe less, surrounding the dead oak wilt stuff so that we can try and protect the root systems. And then after we did that, before winter, we then fertilized a different section. So there's 2 ways you can combat it, one being the fungicide injections, one being pretty much fertilize the tree, kind of put it on steroids, and they can fight off the oak wilt if they don't have any other problems. So at this point in time, I'm going to go out there and look. I wanted to make you guys aware. We may make another purchase of the fertilizer, which was only about $200. I want to see how they're responding. The fungicide treatment, most of the recommendations say do it twice. So they did it once. If those trees are starting to look sickly as far as their bud formation or something like that, I'm going to suggest we do it again. It did accept that when you put that in them, you can kind of tell how sick the tree is by how well it absorbs it from the injector site. They're in pretty good shape now. I'd hate to lose them. So throwing that out there now, in case you guys had any thoughts about it, I just wanted to update you because that might come up like by the time we get to the next board meeting.
They're gonna look at it, see what needs done and give us a quote.
I'm gonna look.
No, I know, I don't mean that. I meant for the oak wilt, trees that, still need to come down with the branches or.
We already got a contract with them. They just haven't been able to get in there and get them yet.
Okay, so this is part of our original.
This is part of the, and it's broke down in sections. So we're only gonna pay them by, okay, once you do this part, X amount of money, this part. And my fault, I did not include stump grinding in there, so we'll have to take care of the stumps that are in the, I think there's 2 right in that Park 27 area. We'll have to grind them down. My bad. Okay. So you are all aware where that's going, because it'll end up coming out of Parks and Rec, whatever we may do next. Okay, number 6 is a discussion on the RCC, Roscommon County Community Fund. Recommendation to use an agency endowment fund for Lyon Township. Parks and Rec. We talked about this before. I've given you this paperwork before. I'm giving it to you again so you can take home and look at it. When we went around the first time, I decided to leave it out of the budget, and if we're going to do this, do it as an amendment after the budget was passed. Bottom line, put 20 grand in this fund. That allows us to be, it's not really a 501(c), but it allows us to be able to, God, I hope that didn't break it. Allows us to be able to do things to try and raise money. So that would include things like selling 50-50 tickets at concerts, include boat poker runs, golf outings, trying to move more towards that and less from collecting cans. We cannot do anything unless the Friends of Lyon Township used to be the organization that allowed us to do that. It doesn't exist anymore. So this is the best option that was recommended that we could use. And I want you to, both, second time on the copies. At some point, we're going to talk about this. I asked Pam, I think I know where the money is. If you put the 20 grand in, you can't mess with the 20 grand for a certain amount of time. But if it allows us to do fundraising, it's something that I think we should consider, considering that right now we cannot do it at all. So. Any comments from either one of you right now on that?
It sounds like a plausible idea. We just need the whole board here and to use all the ideas that we can have for this. The fundraising sounds like a good deal to me. We did get a good portion of money off the Friends of Land Township with the cans, but it was a royal pain in the butt. When they took those cans home, they had nothing but a sticky mess out of those cans, and the people that were doing it, they really put some effort into it. And it was somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
Yeah, it was a great thing. I can't.
Over the history of that thing, 45,000. Well,
Yeah, and I think you guys did a great job. You know, we couldn't pull it off, and that's okay. The people I'm talking to now are not interested in picking cans up. And the people I'm talking to now have money. And I'm trying to get this township hooked into a way to access that money. Be perfectly blunt with you. If they're willing to get involved and sponsor things like boat poker runs and golf outings, great. We all know it takes money to make money, right?
well, I'm being a little selfish myself, but I don't mind rinsing the cans and then take them over there. I hate going to the store and having to do that. One by one by one. I just dump them in the cans, and then at the pancake breakfast, the ladies that were collecting money at the door, they let me know how much it was. It was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Okay, number 7. I'm not sure on the legality of this, but number 7 is the one I did not get the information today that I would hope to get in relation to adding the language to zoning 55 ordinance on chickens. I know with the language, I know where it's supposed to go. I'm only hesitant on one thing, and I'm waiting for a legal answer on that. Once we do that as a board, it went to planning commission, came back to the board did it. It's just a matter of taking that last step legally, and then we just post in the paper that we did it, as far as it being added to zoning 55. Anyway, I did not get the missing piece today, so I prefer not to even really bring it up.
Let's not discuss it then.
Okay, so that brings us, because of the reduced agenda, and Timothy not here adding 5 things to it, we are not public comment.
No, we're not. You got some announcements to make.
You want me to do them now? I can do them.
Says the announcements, public hearing, April 29th. That's
Sure does. So we'll do them right now. You know me, I aim to please. The public hearing has been posted in the newspaper for April 29th on the short-term rental and the second public hearing on fertilizer setback ordinance. These are public hearings to receive input from the public on both of those topics in 2 separate meetings. Another announcement would be that the Little League, I've been working with Rebecca in the Little League, and we are pretty close to where they're going to be able to start using our field. And we're pretty close to putting a plug-in where the well pit is at the baseball field for the sprinklers. We can put a plug in there where they can plug in pitching machines. If they can plug in pitching machines, they're happy. So the field's in great shape. We'll roll it out. If we can get Little League here, I got some feelers out with the Holt Lake leagues. Potentially even maybe if we had a team here from Higgins Lake. But I'm waiting to see the leagues in Houghton Lake may be willing to use our field. It may be too late, I guess, midwinter. They do their selections and decisions on how many teams. So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to have a team even if we could. But certainly they could use their field, and if every time they come out here, they spend money around here, that's a good I do not have any other announcements.
Need the time for the SDR on April 29th,
They're both posted.
and now will be on
April 29th, 6 o'clock. Yeah.
It's, was it, yeah, 6 o'clock to be followed by the other one. Thank you. Yeah, 6 is a different time, but that's where we landed, based on the board input. Okay,
Do any of you, have any of you been up here? Well, probably some of you have for sure. Not Sam. Sam's been over here 3 lifetimes, but I've been up here 16 years. And when I first moved in, I was able to go over to the ball field. I live almost right behind that park over there. I was able to go see softball games 3 times a week. That was a long time ago, I know. And I do remember kids practicing over there. It seems like about maybe 9 or 10 years ago, that kind of just went away. Did the beer league stop? Was there no interest anymore? I just wondered if there was some reason that they stopped coming. Because it's a nice location for a lot of different.
And then women's league's playing over there. Not men's league, it was all women's.
I never saw women there. I saw men there and they all had bars on the back of their shirts. Not, no, that kind of bar, the sponsor. Oh, yeah.
when, but part of that story,
3 years ago, 5 years ago.
Oh, they were still over there then. See, I didn't, okay. Well, the men's league made a lot of noise, so I heard that, you know. Do that? It's not legal now. But okay, yep. Just thought I'd ask. Now we're,
in partial answer to your question, I think the Silver Dollar did not want to sponsor a team for whatever purpose. And that slowed things down considerable right there. And they may still not be interested. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, I'm fine with Little League. I'm fine with other, Roscommon Township has 2 fields. They're in use a lot. If it gets that far, we can talk about a fee. They don't charge anybody. People that are coming and going are increasing the amount of people here that might spend money, so. Okay. That now brings us to public comment. So try and limit it to 5 minutes and state your name and use the microphone. And that way you'll be on the video record. Yes, sir, Bruce.
So since you were talking about employee benefits, in February 2025, Michigan passed a law that all employees get 1 hour sick pay for, depending on if you have over 10 employees, you get an hour for every 40 hours work. If you have less than that, you get an hour for every 30 hours work. That law was passed in February 2025. And it includes the townships.
No, we've been all over that since it happened. We have to track all of that and everybody who qualified gets it.
I mean, I don't know, are we getting it or?
I don't think I'm not paying that. If you run into this problem where how many hours you work, there's a bearing.
Well, there's a limit. I mean, there's a limit.
There's a limit, you have to get this amount in order to get it. I don't know. That's clerk's department. I know that we got several notices, straightened it out, and I believe sick leave is being tracked and awarded accordingly to whoever deserves to get it.
well, we have adjusted dips and different personal time offs, but I'm sick leave, we'll have to open that book back up to see. I didn't realize there was a law that was passed in 2025, but I'll certainly look into it.
Okay, I'm aware, because I've been getting emails for more than 7-8 months. Forwarding about, I know Courtney's aware, we talked about trying to track it.
And maybe she's keeping track, I don't know.
I don't either. I assume that we did what we were mandated to do. That's my assumption.
That's all I
Good
got.
question. I guess we better check.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything they'd like to say for the record here today?
Patty Dennis, Lyon Township. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you shouldn't have to get too close. It should pick it up.
I want to make this comment primarily to you, Paul. It has to do with your statement about how you feel you are representing the people that the majority of the people. And,
You might want to push it away just a little bit, starting to, the peas pop.
okay. And so I'm curious as to how you know that to be a fact. Are you just surveying your circle of friends that all believe what you believe? Or how are you surveying the majority of the people to know what they want? So I just have to say that because it offends me personally when you say that. Because guess what? I pay taxes and I vote in this township. It doesn't matter whether I voted for you or not. You're here to represent all people, and all people pay taxes, whether they vote here or not. And that's what allows you to do what you do in this township. Second point is I just have a question about the short-term rental ordinance process. Was it at the behalf of the board that wanted to revise the old ordinance, or was it the planning commission that wanted to do it, or who? What is the purpose of the planning commission? Because I'm not sure I understand, because it seems like the board is not following many of the recommendations of the planning commission. So I'm just curious as to how that functions.
If that's the only two, I can give you reasonable short answers. Normally, I wouldn't, but that question has been bugging me for a long time. I'll start with the what I believe that I know. That's based in all of the rallies that we did and the people I talked to, and the fact that less government interference in their lives was a top 3 issue kitchen table topic, and that's where I go. Secondly, as far as the planning commission, we, as a township board, created a short-term rental ordinance draft. And then by law, because it was dealing with zoning, it had to go to the planning commission. We sent it to the planning commission, excuse me, for their recommendations on our draft. Not too long after that, I got the information from our attorneys that initially, I think I was here at the first meeting. I was here videoing one, and I ended up talking to our attorney about something else. He said, you don't go in there and say anything. You can't do that. You cannot unduly influence the planning commission. I said, really? I passed that on to our board members, who all also said, really? Okay, I trust our attorney, and I get what he's saying. At that point, I passed on to, I believe, Mr. Monet, and then also to Sam, that the attorney's preference for how this is done to avoid either side looking like they are trying to unduly influence the other is that from our board, information would come to me as the chair for the township board. As chair for the township board, I would pass that information on to the chair of the planning commission. Chair of the planning commission then passes that information on to the planning commission. When things started, I don't even want to say, the planning commission can make any recommendations they want. I would hope that in the future, we stay pretty consistent with that line of communication, because I think that hurt the whole process. I think a lot of things were happening around the outskirts, and I'm not going to say sat there and like bit our tongues or nothing. We couldn't come in there and explain it to anybody. So now here we are, after they got done, they give it to us, and then it's our choice and what we do with it. But very legitimate questions. It looks like how should I phrase this? We did not ask the planning commission to create a short-term rental ordinance. I really don't know if they got lost in translation. They had every right to do what they did. That does not mean that, I don't want to say in a general direction. All I can say is we didn't ask them to create a short-term rental ordinance. So now that it's back in our hands, then the decision is now for us. I hope that, you know, if any of this ever happens again, that the communication is solid. It's a shame, but right in the middle of it, we couldn't say anything.
Okay. May I make a comment to your comment?
Sure.
Okay. Back to the, what you believe to be, adequate representation of the people's voice. The rallies, drew a particular group of people, that came to it. And so again, I would like you to consider doing more surveys or some other way of gathering information about what the people of this township really want, because I do think that you are pulling from a group. And I would also like to note, of all those people that sat at your table, around the table, how many of them show up here and to try to find out what's really going on? Very, very few. And yet, let's compare it with the people that are sitting in front of you month to month. And that's all I'll say.
Solid point. I compare those numbers all the time. Thank you, Patty. Anybody else got anything they want to say? Now's the time to do it.
John Bartolini Township. Paul, I had a similar reaction to Patty's, and all I can say is I hope that the other board members are a lot more thoughtful and open-minded and listening to what people are saying, because Paul, you guys were elected in the primary. Not in the final. You know, everybody knows that 200 people voted against you, 400 people did. That's not a landslide. It's a majority, but you have to understand that at least 200 people did not want you, 400 people did. That's not a landslide. So there is a difference of opinion there that you need to be cognizant. Number one. Number two is that, there are people that you know who come into this meeting who don't agree with you. And I hope you're not ignoring them. It appears as if maybe you are, because it's your opinion is you represent everyone and that's your opinion. Your board members disagree with you. So does that make you the right guy? I don't think so. If you're listening to them, I hope you're listening to people you know that don't support you. Who did vote for you, but disagree with you now. And so I'm hoping that you're open-minded to that, because it's really important. But it seems like maybe you're not. You look at the planning commission, they come back with stuff. The chicken ordinance. I hate to say this again. Okay. They came back and told you, okay, you ignore that. You know, the STR stuff, you know, that's a boondoggle. You know, I know we're having a public meeting about the STR and the fertilizer setback. Does it even make sense that people come to that? I mean, have you made up your mind? And so you already know what they all know. So you already know what the answer to that is. So it doesn't matter that people communicate with you. There were 40 people who came back for the survey for the Parks and Rec. You certainly weighed that. But you're not listening. I think the answer of what happened earlier, the 8-1 that Greg mentioned, you are probably laying a foundation for telling us you're going to ignore that. It's probably what you're going to say, because you don't believe those guys, because you already know what it should be. That's what it seems like you're telling us. And so from our perspective out here, I hope that the rest of the board is more open-minded about and thoughtful about what they hear. And that really is and I apologize. I don't want to be offensive, but I want you to understand from the perspective of, if you call a minority and it's almost like, you know, man, who are those guys? You know, is it everybody? You know, and it's everybody but you. So anyway, I did no one's gonna tell you that, and I think that it's important that somebody says that to you. I don't think you hear that from your board, but I think it's important that you hear that, and I do hope that they're more thoughtful about the STR and the feedback that you're getting and all the other things. That's,
Thank you, sir.
you bet.
Anybody else got a comment tonight? How are you this fine evening?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Here,
Mary Jane Dolan, Lyon Township. For the public hearing, will the short-term rental ordinance be available for review along with the 16 points that were mentioned that were in disagreement at the special meeting?
that's a good question. That meeting is primarily to decide what direction this board is going to go. Part of that decision is likely going to include whether we do police power or zoning, if we end up deciding to do a short-term rental ordinance at all. I do not see diving into the details. It's more about what are we going to do here?
Okay, so it's not going to set a final direction, it's going to try to determine a direction?
It's, well, a direction will be determined by vote. That will be a final direction for this township board.
At the public hearing?
Yes. There'll be a discussion on it. And part of that discussion is going to be that this board will decide, first of all, decide whether we're going to vote then, which I suspect will happen. Run through a series of votes to figure out how to lay down, okay, what is it we're going to do moving forward here? There's a couple of options. Certainly listen to the input.
Is the short-term rental ordinance going to be available for any kind of public review? Because it's not
We-
on the
we are not.
website, right?
Well, we are not passing one. We are talking about a direction we're going to go. We have the version that we originally gave the planning commission. Planning commission has one. We will end up deciding where we're going to go from here. And I don't want to say too much because I'm only one person, as John points out, and he's right. We have some options. The reason it's 2 weeks is because those decisions should be made in a public hearing. And from now till then, of course, we talk to each other individually. We don't violate open meeting acts. And at that meeting, it is my intention to make sure that this board passes what direction they're going to go. Now, does that mean everybody's going to do what I want? I don't know. But that's why the public meeting was posted.
Okay, I guess I'm not very clear on how the public's going to be able to provide input.
You can say whatever you want to say.
If I don't have documentation,
It's
some kind of online to review.
You can say whatever you want to say. An example would be, I don't want short-term rentals at all. An example would be, maybe I'm okay with short-term rentals, but they should go through zoning. Another example might be, I want short-term rentals, do a police power and just do it. There's two directions it can go. And we need to decide what we're doing. As you're all well aware, this thing's been flying around out there for a while. We need to decide what we're going to do. And that does not include the details. The decision on what we're going to do does not include the details in the planning commission version or the details in our version. It's about how are we going to do this? And then it might even be, we're not going to do anything. I don't know. It's up to the board at the time. I'm talking too much, sorry.
Nope, you're fine. I guess I'm just becoming more clear on getting information out to the public on what the options are is not a goal.
Good point. The people who come to the meetings and the way that the meetings are posted, generally they are posted that way so people who may have an interest in short-term rental, or in this case, the second one is fertilizer restrictions, might be inclined to go to that meeting. No, we are not like reviewing either version. We can't. We need to decide how we're going to do this, if we're going to.
Okay, so we're going to decide how, we being the board,
Yes,
without any documentation.
we have documentation, but we're not going to go into the details of it. We have, basically, we have two drafts. And we don't really even know if we're going to have a short-term rental ordinance. And then if we have a short-term rental ordinance, how we're going to do it legally. At that point, it gets into the details. So the public hearing is not about the details. It's about those two steps.
All right, at some point in time, if there's a choice to go forward with the short-term rental or a zoning, is there a detailed discussion that happens? Or a sharing of the details?
I can tell you what'll happen or what, the possibilities are. If it came down that the board voted, yes, we're going to pursue a short-term rental ordinance. Okay. The next vote would be, okay, are we going to pursue it using police power or are we going to go through zoning? If the board voted, we're going to do it as a police power, okay. If the board voted to do it going through zoning, okay. Or maybe the first vote is, we're not going to do any of this. I don't know. That happens then. If it turns out to be zoning or police power, those are two completely different directions. Either way, at that point, we have received what the planning commission gave us as a suggestion. From there on in, we can determine what we want to do. So that if this happened, for example, yes, we're going to go forward. Yes, we're going to do it as a police power, and I do not know that that's going to happen. Then we would start setting meetings where we go over the details. Again, may or may not include anything that they gave us, but it is now our decision to do what we're going to do with this. It's just the how part. And I don't want to say too much about what it might go because I don't know how it's going to go. I can only lay out the possibilities of where it might go. So there's no sense talking about how many people in a house if we don't even know what we're doing. That would be an example.
I guess what I'm struggling to understand is what the public would base any of their input upon.
That's when we have a chance where all of us get together, according to the Open Meetings Act, it has to be open to the public. So you're going to be there and listen to it. That's why there's a meeting.
Right, but is it just going to be talk again, or is there going to be any kind of written summary of the options?
And from my experience, it's going to be a whole bunch of talk. And the biggest lie that's told at a meeting is just one more thing. Well, it's going to be a short meeting. So expect a lot of talk.
Or I've said all that I've got to say at this moment until
Okay.
investigator, you raise your hand again on something else,
No,
which I've done, I know.
one of the few things that is within my control, and there's not many, is that the meetings and the agendas are for me to create. I will ask for votes on things. What happens? I could say, I don't think we should do any short-term rentals. And then I'd say, is there a second? There's not a second. It isn't going any farther than that. That's how this works. I guarantee you I'm going to make motions. I don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, my question is really geared towards what information is provided to the public for them to provide input back to help the board make decisions that that represent the interest of the people of the township.
Short-term rental that we originally gave to the planning commission, I believe has been on our webpage for pushing a year. That's as a draft. The planning commission gave us back. I just recently got some clean copies and I was considering making some of those and putting them out there, but none of it matters until we decide what we're going to do. It just doesn't.
Right, but what I think I'm hearing is there's going to be no documentation laying out the plus and minuses of police power versus zoning,
No.
right? It's not just about as you said, not just about the short-term rental ordinance, version A, version
No,
B.
this is,
It's,
I'm
is there,
sorry. We're going to vote and make some decisions, and the information on what happens after those decisions is not going to, it's not going to be of any consequence at the point that we vote on what we're going to do. We're aware of what we might have to do. You can make comments on the old one, on the draft, on the plan. You can say anything you want. And then we're going to make a decision, or I'm going to try and make sure that we make a decision. The details do not matter in this decision-making process. Now, again, the example being, okay, we're going to do one. We set a meeting up. That's when we're going to go over the details.
I just meant at a high level, the plus and minuses of a police power versus a zoning versus, right?
It's pretty simple.
At the
Police
last-
power eliminates zoning. Police power eliminates planning commission.
And that's all I'm asking. Is there going to be any kind
That's-
of summary
Yeah, no,
from the
that's-
public, right? That
I'm sorry, what?
is there going to be any kind of summary of here's some options that we're considering, pluses and minuses to each of the potentials? Not all the details, but here's a potential drawback.
I'll tell you what, if you would like to have some sort of summary of it at that meeting of the difference between police power and zoning, I will make sure something is there.
I think that's what I'm asking for. If there's more than
Okay.
just the short term.
We went around the line.
Then, because Timothy spoke a lot, but in the end,
And he'll
I don't
speak a
have-
lot at that meeting.
right,
too.
there weren't any notes on or a summary of.
I hear you. I will make sure that there's a brief explanation about that.
That's. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Sure, come on up.
Patty Dombrowski, Lime Township. I just have two simple requests. I attend a lot of meetings in the area. And I think to better facilitate communication in our board meetings and our work sessions, that it would help if we just simply added one table in the middle where Paul, you would have your stuff, and then two tables angled. That way Steve can see Kevin, Greg can see Timothy.
You're right.
You guys can still see us instead of in a straight line. And I just think the nonverbal body language communication, the ability to hear, read lips better if needed. It's a simple thing, and I'm sure we have a table. If not, I'll donate one.
Well, you're making a great point. We do not have the room to spread out a whole lot. If there's a lot of
Just
people here. No, I'm with you. Gilch does it. At first I was going, where'd they get that table? They don't. They have two tables and then they got another one that these are sitting on top of.
No, it's three.
Yeah, three in total.
Right, okay.
We moved from there to here. Generally, a couple of the board members wanted to be over here instead. No, good point. I think maybe we could, if we had a way, we could probably figure out a way to have them angled at least a little bit. Being way out there in this room might,
It's
generally, 9 out of 10
like
might
doing a
not be.
demonstration right now. It's just gonna come a little ways out here.
Yeah.
We're good.
No, great idea.
Thank you.
I'd kind of forgotten about all that.
My second request, and I'd really appreciate it, Mr. Pern, if you could lift your head and put down your pencil for just a second, or I'll wait till you finish writing, because you work so hard, and I appreciate it. My second request is a deputy clerk has to take notes at the board meetings and the work sessions. He's really not able to engage as much as I would like to see him be able to sit up and be attentive, dial in to each of the board members, their body language, what they're saying, the public as well. And he's working so hard at all of these meetings, doing this, just really trying to capture. And I know how diligent you are.
Mhm.
You don't want to miss a thing. And then you still, I know you go back over the tapes, all that. I appreciate it. I really do. But I really wish you were allowed to be able to sit up and engage with the public and not have that burden placed on you. So at a meeting I was at recently, It's not the first time I've seen this, but it's like, well, why aren't we doing this? So I asked, who's that person taking notes? And I was told by one of my former students who works in that township, oh, well, that's a deputy clerk. I said, really? So that's why your clerk is to sit there and engage and be an active board member at the work sessions and meetings. I said, so is that overtime pay or how's that work? And well, that's in her contract. She has to be at the meetings. It's part of her duties. So as a taxpayer, I'm asking, could we consider that? And let him be an active board member? And not the note taker, as diligent, as thorough as he is? I really don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to the board. I don't think it's fair to him, first of all. And certainly, I don't think as a resident, it's not fair to the public. So I'd like you to consider those. Mr. Purr, thank you for everything you do. I certainly don't mean to be offensive. If anything, I'm in your court.
No offense taken. I do try to get everywhere correctly, and then I correct it with the tape.
I know you
It
do.
has to be
But in
done.
this day and age, I think we can move beyond that.
Yeah, different ways to do it.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
Any other comments from the residents in attendance?
John Davis, Lyon Township. I'm confused. No, I'm really getting confused. And part of it's my, I don't know if it's my short-term or long-term memory, but while you mentioned the three things that got you guys elected, would you review those for me?
Less governance and interference, don't take money out of my pockets, and don't jam stuff down our throats.
Less government interference
Yes, that was all related to the sewer
Don't
and
take money.
septic ordinance.
out of my pocket. And what was the third one?
Less government interference, don't take money out of my pocket. You're gonna put me on the spot here.
Don't shove it down the throat.
Don't shove it down our throats. Yes.
Sorry, I forgot that.
No, you're absolutely correct.
Um, with regards to the short-term
Let
rental,
me clarify. That's me. Might not be what they got out of it.
oh, okay, thank you. With regards to the short-term rentals, my feeling is, and I think a lot of people that I talk to feel the same way. If you live in what's zoned R1 and you're in favor of the short-term rental, or you're ambivalent and don't really care one way or the other, you haven't had a really bad rental neighbor yet, but you will have. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else got anything they want to say this evening?
Marty Barta from Lyon Township. So we'll have a public hearing April 29th, and that's really going to deliver the direction that the board's going to go on STRs.
That was certain.
Will there be another public hearing after you've agreed upon a draft of an STR? If that's the direction that you end up
There
going,
would certainly be public meetings, not public hearings on,
meeting.
well, on, again, that's a couple of ifs. If we get there and then this township board is working on a short-term ordinance, there will be public meeting notices and you can all come.
Mhm.
A public hearing is a slightly different thing.
Okay.
In the end, we would end up with something if we go in that direction, and there will be a public hearing to take input on that.
And then that's when you would take input from the public on specific things within the
No,
ordinance, probably.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you over. Again, in a scenario that included, we're going to do a short-term rental ordinance. and we make that decision on the 29th, is it 29th?
Yes, 29.
Then there will be a following meeting, either the work session or a board meeting, where on the agenda would be, we're going to start reviewing what we got, see what we're going to do with the particulars that she was talking about. And those are all open to the public. A public hearing is slightly different because of the notice, the mandates on the notice being in the paper for 2 weeks. Our hearing, for our meetings, as long as they're posted 18 hours ahead, we're okay. But it normally, I don't see us having like a special meeting outside of work session or board meetings
Okay.
to like just start working on that. If we do, you would certainly hear about it.
So our opportunity to make comments about specific items within an ordinance would be during the public session at a public board meeting or a work session.
You certainly could. You could say whatever you wanted at the public hearing too.
Okay.
But we're not going to be in that part of it, but you could say, you know.
Okay. I just wanted to get a little clarification on that. Thanks.
It's a complicated thing, but I'm trying to do the best I can according to what our legal firm advises that we should do. Any other comments from the residents in the meeting? I'll give you a shot at it, but I should not have done that. I'm trying to explain it to you. This typically is not a back and forth thing. So if you want to get up and say something, say something.
She's already had 10 minutes.
I'll give you, just say something, but I'll give you, you need to do it fast. From the mic. Please. Try and keep it down. Clerk Pern is getting, I shouldn't be doing this. Let's put it that way.
Is there any update on parking near the West Side Launch situation? The overflow parking on
No,
shoulders?
Good question. Dave Denbauer is going to be here and whoever comes from Thursday, we have a Roscommon Township Association meeting. That is not open to the public, but that's where we talk about that kind of stuff. So Garish Township will be there and the initial discussions on that will start taking place there.
All right, thank you. That was
Yep.
just a follow up from the last meeting.
Eventually, there will be a Higgins Lake safety meeting, which is a different thing that includes prosecuting attorney and sheriff's department and DNR. Okay, last call on public comment. Come right on up, sir.
I just thought of this. I haven't planned on saying anything. Sam Bedoyan Jr., Lyon Township. Public hearing 29th. Decide which way you go, police or zoning.
If we go.
A public hearing on the 29th. Which way to go? Police or zoning? Now, you're making that decision then, apparently. Now, if you decide, let's say, to go zoning, then the public would have the right to know what the draft is on that STR. Would there not be another so-called public hearing? I don't know. Because see, you're not discussing it on the 29th about the draft whatsoever. That draft has to be discussed somehow in some fashion where the public would have a say-so or for comments on that draft.
Yes.
So I'm just bringing this up because I just thought about it just now because she brought it up about, okay, what she was asking for was like a definition of what's policing and what's zoning. So you do that, but you still have to have something on that draft that the people have say something.
Yeah, again, several ifs. If it's short-term, if it is zoning or if it is police power, those meetings, either one would be public meetings, and that's where the details would get discussed. Can't venture to say how the vote's going to go. Thanks, sir. Any other comments? Yes.
Should we not? Making go back and paradigm and the whole lot.
Because we've done all of that And at this point, we need to decide what we're gonna do, and it's either the planning commission or, I shouldn't say it that way. There are two drafts out there. We need to decide which way we're gonna go. And to me, it makes no sense to have it out there because the public, whatever the public has to say about the details really doesn't include the decision we need to make on which way we're going. Yes, absolutely. We're kind of spinning around in limbo here. It's going one way, the other, or it's not happening at all. That's the decision.
Well, you just mentioned, I'll say it again though, the definition of police power versus zoning. But the public at that time on the 29th will have an understanding what a police power is. We knew what the zoning pretty much is. I don't think the public is aware of the definition in its entirety as to what the police powers are.
Yeah, you're right. She was correct. I will prepare something that gives like a brief summary of the difference between the two.
Well, that being said, I'm still saying that the public still would be deserving of another public hearing if you decide to go with zoning so they could have questions regarding the draft.
That's a step we gotta figure out when we get to it.
Pardon?
That's a step we gotta figure out when we get to it, and we aren't doing that. And it's late. That's burned into my brain saying,
Yeah. Right, there will be, it will either be up, no matter what the decision is, if the decision is to move forward with either police power or zoning, there will be meetings that will be public meetings to discuss those details. In the end, there would be a public hearing where we would again make a decision on a final version of something, if we even get that far. So just trying to get the first step in and go from there. Good questions, all of them. Okay, anybody else?
I make a
All right.
motion that we close the meeting.
Okay, I can second that. Is there any discussion on the board about adjourning the meeting? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at
Aye.
what time you
Oh, I got 8:50.
go? 8:50, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed, same. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks for coming. Okay, hold on. I'm okay with it, but really you shouldn't come up here and address us now. Oh, did you find something out? Well, holler at me. Thank you, dear. There.
I don't know when you guys are open-minded enough to say, look, just let me hear what other, and I know we've got. That's all I'm asking. I'm afraid that. You everybody else.
Wait, which pass? We're at the, like, every 2 weeks for the whole. Yeah. Yeah, I love you, Steve.
Shot on the night.
For those that are not on. people are finalized from the health and human rights. Assessment. And now the board, then now, okay. So I. And the work when we do. It's very much, so I would say to. So these are the facts and let the people, but we will, I know, we can't, there are people who are people. Let's. Our earned. I'm going to take a low down for the stuff. Some of them, actually, have a lot of expertise. Work on this. So, and now that we're doing foundation who have experts. From them. We all. But have time. Remember where we had the. Like. It's working together, sure the way. You know, and then maybe some real minutes. That you know. I understand that they have all subject that they have a file. All that we got, it's all been done. I know.
Oh, you had a hot mic through all of that, so.